for the YouTube. Say what up, Tube.
What up, Tube?
Hola.
What up? All right, last but certainly not least, for the show. Hang on.
Oh.
Rescan audio.
Boom.
All right, for the show in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Hernan Cias here, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host,
The insurance bro, James Cias. And as always, we have another fun-filled show ready to rock and roll for all of you. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the Business Bros podcast. I swear, it felt like it was gone, like I was gone forever.
It's only been 2 days.
I know. But today, we are excited to bring to you a fun and diverse guest. Need help taking a few strokes off your golf game? He's got you. Do you surf? He does. And, like the insurance bro here, today's guest is both a podcaster and an insurance broker. He's got a huge financial goal to grow his personal line side of the company to 1,000 policies per month. Woo! Fire! And even more exciting, he's got an ultimate goal to qualify for the Masters as an amateur pro. Dang, I totally messed
Just
that one
an
up.
amateur.
Yeah, totally. Even more exciting, an ultimate goal to qualify for the Masters golf as an amateur. But he's a pro in our eyes. Coming to us from Click2Bind Insurance Services, please give a warm Business Bros welcome to our guest, Lee Sanudo.
Very impressed.
Yeah, no, that was.
Speaking of amateurs,
Yeah, speaking of amateurs,
Amateur
gosh.
pro. You're
I'm over here. I'm like
amateur pro.
reading through my typos, like, oh man, I messed that one up. Oh man, I messed that one up. Crap.
man.
Do you ever feel
It's a
like
Monday.
you
man.
just shouldn't type it and you'd probably do better? Or you need
Oh
that?
heck no, I need to
Okay,
type it.
okay.
Yeah, no, if I try to just freestyle, wing it,
Yeah.
forget about it. I'll be like,
Forget
happy,
about
what
day is
is
it?
it? Oh shoot, there goes the voice. It's gone. It's over. It's done.
All right, ladies and
But
gents.
hey, welcome to the show, Lee.
Thank you. Happy
Welcome to the
MLK
show.
Day.
Happy
Happy
MLK
MLK Day.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So, Lee, I'm going to ask you the very first question, which is why is it that you want to achieve this 5-year? Why is it that you want that 1,000 policies a month? But don't answer it yet.
Okay.
I got to remind the audience, 100, ladies and gentlemen, 100 blankets, hoodies, sweaters, something to keep the homeless warm is what we're shooting for. We're about 50% of the way there. We're trying to get that 100 before the end of the month. So if you guys got any sweaters, hoodies that you want to donate or cash, hit James up 619-884-0045 or James at ciasfirst.com. Guys,
This is the writing bag.
Look at that thing.
and it's full. So we're going to
Wow.
empty it, and then next is whoever calls in next.
Come on, give me a call. Hit me up right there.
He's
Holla.
also in the insurance business, ladies and gents. So if you got homeowners, auto, commercial, GL, whatever it is you need on the insurance side, or maybe you want to add insurance into your business, we can help you do that. 619-884-0045 or James at ciasfirst.com. And today's show sponsor is... Well, wouldn't you
It's
know
all about
it?
the kids.
It's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids.
It always is. It's allaboutthekids.org/feed the kids. It's all about the kids charity on Instagram, or it's all about the kids on Twitter. If you guys have any time to donate, any food to donate, any clothing or anything that can benefit these families, they're always looking for your support. So go ahead, check them out. It's allaboutthekids.org/feed the kids.
Feed the kids $2 a bag.
Too many movie
Mary
quotes.
Poppins.
Too many
Mary
movie
Poppins.
quotes.
What can I?
Mary Poppins.
Great.
Chimney. Okay.
All right,
All
we're
day,
gonna
okay.
stop. We're gonna stop.
All right,
I can
Lee,
do
you
this
ready?
all day.
I'm ready.
So why do you want to achieve that goal? What's so big about this 1,000 policies a month?
I get off on saving people money, right? Like I'm really good at living on a shoestring. You know what I mean? So if I'm doing 1,000 policies a month, that means I'm saving that many people money. And getting them, that's the thing I feel like in the insurance business. Everybody needs insurance, right? So few people understand what they have, and then something happens. Oh yeah, I'm covered. And are you?
Yeah. Well,
Mayday.
did you hit that $330,000 vehicle that was on the road?
Oh God.
Your insurance coverage is not going to cover all of that.
Excluded,
Right?
Yeah, and actually the one we were talking about earlier today, which I think some of the listeners might extract some value in, is the whole rideshare economy. Right? So where's the coverage there? You know what I mean? All these people are out there driving Uber, right?
But they don't have the right coverage.
Well, in California, there's always a gap. I didn't know that until today. So if you have your normal coverage, you're covered until you turn on your app, right? Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's a gap between the time app is on until you book the ride. Once that ride is booked, then it's taken over by the rideshare company, Uber or Lyft or whatever. But until that time, if you're driving around waiting for a ride, there's no coverage. Your insurance company is not covering you.
That's scary because you're still in motion.
Yeah. So if you are driving for Uber, go park your car until you book a ride, and then you're good.
Plus, you save on gas.
Yeah, but I understand, right? Because otherwise, people would just be like, "Oh, I drive for Uber. I'm gonna drive around all day. I'm not going to take a ride, and I have coverage."
Well, okay. So prior to this whole insurance gig, prior to the whole background, what did you do before?
So I come from the world of golf, right? My dad was a golf pro. He was actually the first Mexican to win on the PGA Tour. Mexican born, anyway. So I was born into the game. I grew up around a lot of amazing people, players, and I tried to play for a living for about 6 years. But hey, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, right? So I came off the road, and those who can't do teach. So I started teaching golf, right? And love teaching golf. But in today's, with today's all the technology out there, in my opinion, you don't need it. Like, there is a fire hose of stuff out there. You know what I mean? And there's actually a kid at this golf course I hang out at who's 13 years old. He's a scratch golfer. Don't make dollars, don't make sense. And no, it's okay. Off the road. And he never had a lesson. He learned off YouTube. Completely.
YouTube University. Well, I heard it today said when asked where did you get your education, Google University.
Yeah, everything you need.
Everything you need is on the internet. Every type of lesson, every type of coach. Like, there's an abundance, like you said, a fire hose of information. Yeah, you just gotta pick and choose which one's applicable to you.
Right, and because I'm so thrifty, it's the biggest problem I've ever had as a golf instructor is the ask. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up my dad was a tour player, so like I never paid for anything in golf. So for me to mentally go, oh yeah, $400 an hour, that seems reasonable, right? Like, there's no way, But especially when I can just go click on, what does Tiger Woods say about how to hit a chip shot?
Yeah,
and there's 35 videos on it.
Yeah, but I think the other side of that is like, you can see what they're doing, but there's difference when somebody's giving you the advice on what you're doing wrong, right? Like,
100%.
Like, if you're watching me, you can literally critique my swing. Like, no, put your feet here. Make sure your back swing's this way. Look where your hips are. Like, that's what a coach does. That's what the coach is helping you do. Correct what's going wrong in your particular, in this case, in your game, right?
Yeah, and so I tested that on Instagram with DMs with people, right? People I've never met. I'm like, can I help this person get better? You give me the worst camera angle in the world, I'm going to watch you swing, and I'm going to tell you, go do this, do you get better? And without fail, it's always been done. So I guess, and then they're like, well, what do I owe you for it? I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, dude, I'm just happy you're better. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, what I do is 5 minutes of me watching a video and telling you what to do.
You should have a subscription base for something like that.
But I don't even feel right about that.
But why not?
Because it's just like, dude, it's already out there. You just got to know how to interpret it.
But okay, but it's let me send you. Look, we live in the age where, like, I remember playing baseball myself, right? Okay. And for me to set up a camera, first of all, I had to have a camera, right? And
that's expensive. A different time, though. That was a different time. Now everybody's got this thing in their pocket.
They do, but by the same token, it's like, to have that coach without you having to physically be there. Now that you have the capability of coaching a guy in Florida from San Diego, like, just because they want to show you the swing. Cool. Okay, well, adjust this, change this, boom. And it's like quick interactions, but it's a subscription base. So, like, I don't know. For me, dude, I mean, that would get you back in the game, plus get you a straight, regular income that you're looking for. I don't know. It's passionate.
We've talked,
Well, I mean, what? So you switched out. You left golf. What was it like leaving the industry you grew up in and then transitioning to, like, where you are, like, into the insurance world?
Yeah, it was a trip, right? Because you get so used to, I'm outdoors, I'm on a golf course, I'm walking around, like, I got a golf club in my hands, I'm just talking with people all the time. To all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm in an office and I'm, looking at a computer and I'm on the phone. And what time is it? Okay.
Do you feel like you had to grow up a little bit?
It was that a little bit, right? But at the same point in time, it was just more of like, oh, okay, it's just a different challenge. To me, that's what's so attractive to golf. Golf is something that's never, you can't perfect it. It's never, it's an ongoing progression of change, right? Mm-hmm. Where with this, it's like, okay, there's a problem in front of me that I can solve, and so how can I solve it the most efficiently? And that's what attracts me, I think, to that avenue.
What I like about golf is you're really, really only competing against yourself. Like
100%.
You compete against other people, and there's other competitors at the same time, but you're really trying to better your stroke or lower your score. That's really what it comes down to. You can't blame anybody but yourself. Like there's nobody on the team that's gonna mess you up.
And that's what's maddening too, right? Because the ball's not moving. Right. The only reason that thing's going to go in a direction is because I'm doing it.
True.
There's nobody trying to stop it, tackle me, any of that crap. Right. So, and I think what drew me to it as well is like I could entertain myself for hours. I didn't need anybody else to come play with me. I didn't have to be at the field at 3:00 every day. You know what I mean? It was just like, if I want to hit balls till it's dark and they turn the lights off, I can go do that. You know what I mean? So it was honestly just a way to entertain myself, I think, more than anything.
Man, and you stepped away and went into insurance.
Yeah, well, it was a funny story because one of my clients, I actually opened a yoga studio in 2012. That was my first like entrepreneurial venture, right? And sold it in 16. I'm like, I'm just gonna go back and teach golf. That was fun, but yoga's, it's hard to be. The yoga instructors are not the most accountable people in the world.
Well, did I did ask you about goat yoga. Did you end up looking up goat yoga?
Dude, you did. That was amazing.
It was weird. When I told you it was weird, right?
Super weird, dude.
Super
and
weird.
Nothing shocks me anymore, honestly. But like that one, I was like, wow, that's a real thing.
Dude, it's a hot trend. Like people actually want these little baby goats on them.
Yeah. There you go. There's the world of yoga, right? So I ran from that and went.
I couldn't even. There it is. That explains it. In a nutshell, that's yoga. That's the world of yoga.
That's where you go.
Mark Turan says hi, by the way.
Don't Turan? I love Marky.
Mark Turan, yeah.
Love that guy. He's one of the best, man. What's up, Marky? But anyway, yeah.
So you got out of the goat yoga studio.
Got out of the goat and went back to teach golf. And then all of a sudden it rained for 3 months straight. And I'm like, crap. I need
no work.
What do I do if it's raining? Mm-hmm. I wanted to work, but it's 45 degrees outside and it's raining sideways. People aren't going to be like, oh God, I really want to go practice golf right now, right?
If you had that subscription model,
yeah, exactly.
You would have an issue there.
Okay, Hernan is my new CFO. We're starting something right now. But
don't worry, he's mine too.
The CFO, bro.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, there it is.
I love it. But one of my clients was like, well, I can teach you how to make money. And, I picked this guy up in his Tesla. He's a member of all these different golf clubs that were just beautiful. So I said, all right, man, you show me how to do it. And he made all of his money in financial advising. So I got all licensed up and followed his advice. And,
But look, golf and financial advice, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. How many deals have you struck? I mean, how many, get-togethers, partner meetings, like whatever happened on the golf course?
And so I think that's a misconception, right? Because I'm very confident on the golf course. I know how to manage and talk with people and everything like that, but it's a way too long of a time commitment for what you're getting.
I agree with that.
It's a 5.5, 6 hour deal.
However, when you land a big deal, it's because you have a strong relationship with that particular individual,
100%,
right?
100%.
So, I mean, it's not really so much as, we're going to go form a deal and sign a contract on the cars. It's not really like that. It's another enhancement to the relationship that you're building.
Sure, absolutely. With other ventures I've had, it's been, a deal you'll work on for 6 to 8 months. And if it doesn't close, now you're like, oh, okay. Well, that was a long runway.
Yeah, well, so... Okay, so you go license up, you get in the game. When did you realize that you had to make some sort of change or something to step up that new venture that you're on, like to take it to the next level?
It actually happened when we bought our house, right? And I realized, the escrow company is like, hey, here's your homeowner's insurance. Just go get it because we need it for the loan. I'm like, okay, great. And then I happened to have another client who was a home and auto guy. I said, hey, man, can you just shop this for me? Tell me if this is close. And, dude, he saved me like $110 a month. So I was like, that's crazy.
I love this guy.
Yeah. I'm like, that's no joke, right? Like, that's a vacation.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, well, I'm going to go get my PNC license, and
save yourself another $100 a month because you get the commission on your own.
No, but I was just like, dude, how many other people are getting this? I don't want to get. I guess they are getting taken advantage of, right? Because they're just not questioning it.
Well, it's always, it comes down to you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
If you didn't know that you can compare policies amongst different insurance companies, You didn't know. You went to your insurance guy. That's what they quoted you. If you didn't know that your policy doesn't cover, the pipes under the house that go all the way to the main water line and something busts, well, that was your fault. You didn't ask the question. You didn't know, right? I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So, that saving $100, well, that might be cool if they saved you $100, but what coverages do you have now? Like, what got taken away? What got added on? Like, that's the question that a lot of people fail to ask. Like, insurance, you're right, everybody needs it, but there's so many different variations of coverages and what you get.
Yeah.
That, it's not always about that dollar amount. It's like, are you
with the
properly
right
covered?
coverage? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly right. You're exactly right there. And I think that's where I trusted the guy so much who, gave me the policy we wound up buying ultimately. And he walked me through. He showed me the whole thing. I was like, this is amazing, dude. I'm like, you literally gave me the exact same coverage I got quoted before, but it's
cheaper.
Yeah. So no brainer.
Yeah. Great deal. Great deal. What kind of roadblocks did you bump into when you're stepping into this new world? Like, what
dude?
I mean, everybody gets a license and they think, woohoo!
Right.
Rainbows are just, coming out of the sky and everybody's going to know what I'm doing and everything's going to be great. And then life happens.
And that's why I think I went from being an absolute expert on what I was doing to not having a clue. Just because you can pass a test doesn't mean you have any clue what you're doing.
Book world and real life are two different things.
Completely different things. And I was lucky enough to have a lot of friends who were, CFPs and, really high level advisors and CPAs and stuff like that. So I would go ask them, I'm like, hey, what does this market even look like? Which direction should I go? And I realized pretty quickly, I was like, wow, the advisor world, the RIAs and that whole path is really, really different. And I'm like, I don't even want to go there. But the insurance to me was a lot more black and white. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this path I can stomach.
And it's nice to have those RIAs or the Series 6, Series 7 people or the certified financial planners, whatever, like to be able to ask questions to, right? Totally. To have a mentor in this industry, because you're right. It's not just like things you don't know. I mean, every single company has a plethora of products, and each product they'll cover a different thing. And there's riders, and there's this, and there's that, like all kinds of different stuff. And sometimes, you get bombarded with all these different strategies, and then that's huge. That's great. You understand the overview, but then you get into the nitty gritty and you can get lost.
Totally lost. And then I honestly, and this is something I'd be curious your opinion on, is like I got really into Jack Bogle, right? The guy who started Vanguard.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just listened to him and I read all of his stuff because I'm like, this guy has crushed it, right? And I'm like, wow, if this guy's right, which was right his entire life,
right? Yeah.
Then why do we even have RIAs and, like investment advisors? Because I'm like, you guys are like, you just put your money in an index fund and call it a day.
Yeah, well, I mean, but everybody will argue different things. Like I've sat around trainings where, you ever heard of the Circle of Life training?
Yeah.
That's a whole life policy. And
right.
They will make a super valid argument as to the strategy of why you need whole life.
Yeah.
And it totally, like you sit through the presentation, it makes sense, right? There's a logical explanation for the way that they devise that strategy. But you talk to the guy that's putting on the presentation on like IULs, for example, and there's a totally legitimate explanation as to why you should use the IUL. Like each one has a reason, and that's why I think it comes down to when you're sitting down with the client, figuring out what the client's objective is going to be. Because once you know what the client's objective is going to be, now it's, which road do we want to take to get there? Like,
totally.
I don't think there's really a wrong answer. It's just the answer that fits for you. Like, I go to the shoe store and I'm a fan of Nikes, right? So I'll go to the Nike section, to the Nike store, and that's where I tend to buy my shoes. But I could have went to Skechers, and I could have went to Adidas, and I could have went to Reebok. They're all great shoes. I just this is the path that I want to go. And I think that's what it comes down to when you're in that space. That what you're allowed to sell based on your license and what products you have. Like now this is my toolbox. This is my arsenal. And this is what I believe is going to help you, Mr. or Mrs. Client, get to where you want to go.
Which was another reason I left, because the whole like there it is. Perfect. You dropped a bomb on me.
Baby.
The time is 19 minutes and 4 seconds.
Damn, time flies, huh?
1904.
1904.
Hell of a year.
We interrupt today's regularly scheduled #1 podcast in San Diego for a purely selfish, completely irreverent, sell-out cash grab word from our sponsor. Only not, because I can see what he's holding up right now. Hernan, what are we not selling today?
Well, I'm trying to sell you guys on giving up some of your free time so you guys can donate it over at It's All About the Kids. We want to be able to provide needy families with the resources they need, oftentimes just to get by, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys got high school kids that need some community service hours, maybe you want to donate some of your own time, maybe you just want to send some finances their way, it's allaboutthekids.org/feedthekids. You can find them on It's All About the Kids charity on Instagram, or It's All About the Kids on Twitter. They're always looking for volunteers, always looking for help. I promise you, you go, one day when they have the food bank, and your heart will melt at the amount of gratitude that these families have just to be able to put food on the table. So go ahead, check them out. It's allaboutthekids.org/feedthekids.
Very nice.
And now, back to the #1 podcast in San Diego, the Business Bros Pod.
All right. So we were talking about that licensing and being able to have that pool, those tools.
Yeah. So that was a big problem I had, right? Because I realized I was like, okay, I can sell these mutual funds, right? I had an open-ended license or open-ended investment. So it was like, but my fee structure was terrible once I realized that am I going to beat the market for my fees? So that was my conflict. I'm like, because again, I'm just really thrifty on a shoestring. And I'm like, all right, if I can get this investment for 5 basis points versus 4.8% every time I put something in, I mean, that's a massive difference.
And let me ask you, because you do that, and every time I've spoken to you and you talk about these different products, even the way you approach it right now, you're passing these savings on to your clients. You're trying to find this gap or this whatever little savings for the client, and never kind of looking forward. Does that kind of limit your growth potential? You ever,
possibly, yeah.
I mean, I know from a perspective of my wife, for example, she's like, dude, you could have made more money if you would have just went with your original plan. I'm like, I know, but the client wouldn't have benefited as much.
Totally.
Right. And it's kind of I understand, and I can see it from her perspective. She's like, you're taking it away from your own family. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, but that's why we get more clients, and they're small pieces of the pie, but it's part of a bigger pie.
Yeah. I couldn't ever do the other way. I'm with you, right? I've got, if it's A and B is $5 more expensive, but it's the same thing, hey, you're getting A.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's just do the right thing's never wrong. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. So tell me about this newer venture that you're moving into the PNC side.
So the company is Click2Bind. I got recruited and met with the gentleman who founded this company, who's a health benefits expert. His name's Amir Lazani. He's amazing, really intelligent guy. He's a CFP. And he kind of talked to me about his model, right? And he has a proprietary software and platform that is not live yet, but will effectively tie in with mortgage lenders, right? And make it incredibly streamlined and easy for not only the mortgage loan officer, but also the consumer to quickly get that coverage and not have to, worry about it.
So when you were talking about your 5-year plan, having those 1,000 policies, you're looking for specifically 1,000 homeowner policies a month.
Yeah. Well, and as you know, a lot of times you can save a bundle. If you bundle, you can save a bundle, right?
This is where the cross-selling comes in,
but
right?
that's not always the case. For me, I was even shopping my own this morning, and it's still less expensive for me to separate
them.
Yeah, so it's not always the case.
Yeah, but the goal behind your new platform is going to be the simplicity of the mortgage lender, or is it the simplicity of the client?
So effectively, the client is going through the loan process, which I'm curious your take on this in a second, but the client is going through the loan process, and they will get at some point in that process, right? Kind of like how they get all these DocuSign, okay, sign this disclosure, whatever. They're going to get an email with a quote from several carriers going, hey, here's your coverages, here's your options, pick one and we'll move forward.
So we're trying to build something very, very similar on the referral base, mainly because we understand that once you have the homeowner policy, like you said, there's the open door to whatever else is going on.
Absolutely.
Their home, if they have a small business, now you open up to their workers' comp or their general liabilities, whatever it is. It takes, when you were talking about 1,000 policies, those are singular clients. like we always look at our database with our agency and we're like, okay, what's the average policy count per client? If our average policy count per client is less than 3, then, you know, there's an opportunity there to help the client achieve more coverage. At the same time, the agent to get more commission and, you know, so forth. And so, but what we're doing here on the show is we are targeting the homeowners with lenders, right? So one of the things we started doing to differentiate ourselves is when that happens, when you get that deck page or you get that referral from the lender, is not only send them back the quote, but send them back a video with the agent explaining what the coverage is.
I love that.
Because now it's not just the client, like, and it's not just the lender giving you, here's your insurance policy, and this is what it means.
Yes.
And if you choose to move forward, now you've built this relationship with, you know, whatever the agent is that sent this coverage information. And it adds that additional value to the lender of more of a reason why they want to send you the referral versus anybody else.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, there is something he said about the efficiency and the speed of closing, right? That's absolutely true. But I think in today's day and age, we're kind of past the quickness of the Amazon. That's just expected. It's not like unique selling proposition that we close fast. Like if you don't, you're behind. What other value you're bringing to the table? What enhances that relationship with that lender or with that mortgage professional or tax professional or whoever else that you're partnering with?
Yeah, that education piece I think is invaluable, and that's where everyone is, you know, I think really in the dark. You know, even myself, after I got my license, my PNC license, I'm like, oh, okay, I got my license. And I literally looked at my policy and I'm like, I don't know what this means. I'm like, how is that possible? You know, I'm supposed to go advise people on how to understand this stuff. But, you know, what did I do? I just went online. There's my pre-licensing stuff, and I took the test. And it's like, okay.
Done deal.
Yeah, so I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, I love the video aspect of it, and whatever way it has to be communicated to the client to be like, hey, understand what A, B, and C are, and then you can really, really know that, all right, you're covered for this. And, you know, do I need that much personal property? Do I need what is loss of use? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that.
What do you think, Ham? I mean, you guys, you're working over there day to day in the trenches with the agents. What kind of advice do you give Lee here about working with the homeowner policies and the lenders? Like what kind of extra touches maybe, or coverage gaps, or, you know, stuff that homeowners are going through that might benefit them? I know I just gave you a lot.
You
sorry.
you totally put me on the spot.
Just type it away.
Yeah. What types of advice? I mean, really what we look for is making sure that we're covering the home properly. That's the biggest thing. I think that what we have found is that a lot of agents will quote the home based on like the loan value. And we don't care about the loan value. We just care about the reconstruction cost. But so many times we see that they're valuing it at the loan value because that's what the lender wants or whatever. But we'll definitely fight that one. Other little things, Hernan was talking earlier about what's usually referred to as the service line coverage, which is that coverage from the street, the supply lines from the street to the home. Home systems coverage that'll protect your appliances and AC units and all kinds of other equipment. And honestly, another one that makes a big difference is deductible. Yeah. Just something that simple. I mean, changing it from like $1,000 to $1,500 or up to even $2,500, like that'll save you hundreds of dollars a year on your homeowner's insurance. Right. And it's evaluating, I think, are you comfortable if this happens? Are you okay paying for it for yourself? Right. Like, yeah. At what point are you comfortable? So I think it's like he said earlier, like interviewing that person to be like, what do you need? And let's get you comfortable with all this. And then the other thing about it is when it comes to that, comfort level, it's also reminding the client like, hey, you don't actually want to file a claim for like $1,000. Right. Like it really should be a $2,500 loss or more before you're willing to file a claim, because if you're just filing a claim for something that you could have paid for out of pocket, guess what? Next year, your insurance is going to go up and it's going to follow you for 5 to 7 years. And depending on what kind of loss it is, you might not even qualify for your homeowner's policy next year. You might have to get a whole new company. So, yeah, I mean, all of these things are...
And I've seen some, and I think it's, a lot of agents, I just don't know if they're not paying attention, or maybe this person quoted it themselves online, which is so doable now, right?
Yeah.
And,
That's a big one.
right? You see so many errors there because these people are like, I saw one the other day, and the guy's like, I got dropped. I'm like, why? He's like, well, because I have a manufactured home and I was paying for it like it was a framed out deal. I'm like, oh, that's only, a third the cost, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I didn't know any better.
Just didn't know.
You weren't licensed, but you bought it yourself.
Well, I had this really interesting conversation the other day. I was talking to somebody about, I guess, call it like the three echelons, the three tiers of clients.
Yeah.
The first tier is, and this was more specific to auto insurance, but the first tier is the kind that doesn't really know what they're doing at all, or has a lot of issues, and so they have to use an agent. Like, they don't have a choice.
Sure.
They can't go to Geico. They can't go to State Farm. They can't get a policy that way, so they find their nearest insurance agent. They're like, yo, I got a DUI, or, don't have a, whatever. You have all these issues. Okay, we got to get you. So they're coming to an agent for that reason. Then the middle section is probably like 60 to 70%, or I don't know if it's that high, quite 60 to 70%, but it's, I believe, a majority of the population, and growing, that's just going to go to Google, type in I need insurance, and find something that works. But those people aren't educating themselves. They're really just looking for what's the cheapest that I can pay, what's the lowest price that I can pay.
Right.
So there's so much opportunity there. There's so much opportunity to reach these people and say, hey, look, it's great that you went to geico.com and saved yourself, 15% or more. Like, great job. However, like, what kind of insurance coverage did you get? And did you know that driving your car could put your house at risk?
Totally.
And these are things. So that's that middle section that we have a lot of opportunity with. And that third tier is the one that knows the professionalism and the quality of service that they're going to get from having an agent. And those are,
the Patrick Mahomes and the Aaron Rodgers of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
That was all.
Oh, so close. We almost had a State Farm Super Bowl.
right there.
Super Bowl,
It was
dude.
right
It was
there.
almost there.
Well, I mean, not really, but Green Bay got stomped. But
Yeah.
But
I mean,
anyway.
one game away.
One game away. One game away.
But James, do you see like I see people who just pop into a Raider, right? And they'll put their stuff in, all this stuff will come up, and they're like, oh, this is my thing. And it's not even close to what they wind up paying when they actually go to checkout.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because they didn't run the MVR and the Clue Report and all this stuff. And it's like, that's not even close to what you're like.
Oh, yeah. No, we have a whole process for, trying to weed that information out. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It still happens.
Yeah, it
still happens. I mean, there'll be times when I'll give somebody what I think is a bindable, or like a final price, and then I'll go back to the carrier like a day or two later when they get back to me, and it jumps again, and I'm like,
oh, it's the worst. That's the worst.
God, so annoying.
But again, all of that is one of those education pieces.
Totally.
Right? This is why you guys do what you do. This is why you're a licensed professional, because you know it. But if you're upfront with it, like, look, your situation's unique. You have a DUI, whatever the situation is. I'm gonna get you a quote, but it's not gonna be official until we actually bind this thing, because other things could pop up in the process. But if you front load it with, like, this is what to expect going forward, like, that's the way it's gonna be. Like, I think that's much more valuable to the client than kind of just, we're gonna get you the cheapest thing possible, because that could be detrimental to them.
Goes against my ethics anyway. I'll tell my customers straight up, I'm not here to get you the cheapest thing possible. I'm here to get you the most comprehensive products that fit your budget.
Yeah.
Comprehensive, like the best that fits your budget.
Like that.
That's what your job is. Your job is to make sure that if something were to happen, they're made whole. right?
That's it.
And you know, when we were talking earlier about the whole consulting thing, right? When James is talking about, you know, raising that deductible to that $2,500 limit or whatever, like this is an opportunity for you to sit with the client and be like, look, it's tax season, bro. Like if we take that $2,500 from your refund and we just stick it over here in the just in case pile, then it doesn't affect you. Now you're saving this money every month on your mortgage. We can put that money aside that you're saving and maybe develop that nest egg, or maybe guess what? At the end of the year, that's your vacation money, or however you want to structure it. It's just allowing them to see that there are multiple pieces, and if we rearrange those pieces, like you're set.
Yeah, you're a lot better off.
You're a lot better off. And this is where like CFPs come in, and it's not just the insurance. It's like, let's look at your overall picture. What's the objective that you're trying to achieve?
Right.
And that's that. And you know, you asked me earlier today about, you know, what do you focus on? I focus on the client. Like if I can figure out what you want and then get you there, the road we take or the vehicles we take are not necessarily that important. Your objective is to get to that end point, right? So let's get you to that end point.
Well said.
Oh, well, sometimes it comes out right.
Well done.
There it is.
All right. So let's do the next section. We're like do the Ask the Bros section. So think of a question you'd like to ask James or myself. I mean, you've asked us a couple questions, but
It's okay. I'll come up.
personal or business, and give us a shot.
Okay, so given the current economic situation, all right, and the low interest rates, right? I had this discussion the other day with a guy who owns a mortgage company, and we were kind of hypothesizing what's going to happen with interest rates, right? And this
Go
guy
negative like Japanese.
That's my thought. Okay, I think it's going that way. So therefore, I think we're in for the probably biggest refinance boom maybe in the history of this country. Okay, so which puts us in a really advantageous situation, right? Do you guys see the same thing, or is it like, because as far as economic fundamentals go, we should be having higher interest rates right now?
Okay, so here's my thing. I like to look at history. 100 years ago, we entered the Roaring 20s, right? And one of the biggest booms in our economy ever. Everybody was making money hand over fist. But you remember what happened at the end of the 20s, right?
It melted.
It melted. We hit this huge depression. We just came off a major recession. And I mean, if you lived through it and you lost your job, it was your depression, right? Mm-hmm. But that was a big one. And like, I just think like we didn't fix anything. We put a Band-Aid on it.
We didn't fix anything.
And so if we put a Band-Aid on it and things are, you know, hypothetically good right now, what's fueling the good? To me, it's an artificial push. It's been an artificial push for a while. So I keep thinking like, you know, shit's gonna hit the fan and something's gonna give and it's gonna go bad. But you're right. There's a boom before there's a bust. For me, it's like, you know, we stopped flipping properties mainly because I didn't want to get caught with my pants down. But things have continued to go up, but you know, what goes up must come down. I'm worried about the next, you know, collapse because I don't know. Like, I try to think of it as basic as I possibly can. If a teacher making $80,000 a year can't afford a home, right? Like, what's going to happen? Either the price needs to come down or the income needs to go up, and I guarantee you the income's not going up.
Right.
Supply
right?
and demand.
And so something's got to give. And to me, it's always just, I try to give the simplest explanation as I possibly can. Affordability's not there. And if affordability is not there and prices are big, what happens? Like if you're in a home and you've been in there for the last 10 years because you bought your home in 2011, 2012, well, you're thinking right now, shit, I need to cash out.
Totally.
Right? And so I just see, you know, all it takes is that little bit of people are selling their houses. Oh, that guy's selling their house. Oh, that guy's selling their house. I should sell my house too. Oh no, everybody's selling. And then what happens? Now we have an influx of sellers and we switch the market, and then it goes into the panic effect. I don't know. And I can see us going into that negative interest rate to kind of put the Band-Aid on again, like to kind of short-term fix it. But a short-term fix, I mean, again, it's gonna bust. Something's got to give. And I don't know what that's gonna be.
I pretty much 100% agree. I mean, there is no crystal ball, but the fact is that we've been in pretty much a 10-year bull market, at least as far as stocks go. And when you're valuing companies like Amazon and Apple and Microsoft, Google actually, I think, just hit the $1 trillion mark. Like, you have 3 or 4 companies valued over $1 trillion. That's just crazy. Where's all this money coming from? It's just getting printed over and over and over and over and over again. And the actual value of the dollar,
We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I 100% agree. Amazon's trading over $1,800 a share. Like, that is just over.
It doesn't make it. Everything's overinflated.
Yeah. I mean, when Enron crashed early, like, what was it, in 2099, whatever it was, they were valued at like under 1,000. It was like 900 and something. And when they crashed, it took everything down with it. I mean, it just everything. So I don't know.
It's just I look at it and I'm like, how much debt can the economy hold? Like, it's insane because the money's so cheap. Why wouldn't you just keep
Borrowing it?
Yeah, you're never going to get. Why would you? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, from speaking from a financial standpoint, it makes total sense. Why would you not want to leverage when the money's cheap?
21 trillion currently national debt.
Yeah. See?
21 trillion.
Well, cool. 21 more Googles and we're good.
Yeah, good to go. No big deal.
That's a good question, man.
21 more Google, Apple, and Microsoft. I think those are the big three.
Yeah,
trillion-dollar companies.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for that. I mean, it'd be like winning the lotto if we know. Short it now.
But for you mentioned it before. You have this amazing network of people that you can always say, "Hey, go see this person. Go see this person." You're always in contact with these people. I'm just curious if they, speak to it.
Well, I'm curious how many of them are going to be around. If shit does hit the fan, like what happens? Like if people's incomes dry up, now all of a sudden they're digging into investment portfolios and start liquidating, and I mean it gets ugly fast. And your business needs to have some core fundamentals on what it's doing. I mean, even in the insurance world, you start wondering which bill to pay. Are you going to feed your kids, or are you going to pay your insurance bill? You're going to feed the kids. Yep. You know what I mean? So. It's a scary thought that, everything can collapse really quick like that, but it's also a reality that you need to think about and plan for. I mean, if you can't survive the down, then it's going to be hard, especially like I heard Gary Vee talk about, right now we're in if your business hasn't grown tremendously in the last 3 years, you suck.
Totally.
Right. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You're not doing it right. And so, and what are you going to do when it's not easy? When the money is not cheap, when it's, when you have to get back to the fundamentals, when you have to get out there and sell a little bit different than you've been doing, I don't know. Curious to see what happens. I hope for the best, but plan for the worst. You know what I mean?
And I know it's impossible to time markets, but you look at it, you're like, this is all-time high, right? Mm-hmm. And if something corrects like it did, like at the end of 18, I mean, it was a decent correction, but it wasn't massive, right? Mm-hmm. Nope. A massive correction is going to knock the hell out of a lot of people. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I'm taking it all out.
You can take a bunch of spins on this. I mean, how many people are turning 65 every single day? Oh. I mean, imagine the market hitting a bottom at that point, and everybody who thought they were going to retire this year can't.
No.
Right? All of a sudden, that pension or that gap, that you've been putting away for, like, your equity on your house goes down. Like, all of a sudden, everything you planned on doing is gone. Like, cash is king, baby. Cash is king.
100%.
That's how we roll. I mean, and on the flip side of that, if you do have the cash and the economy does crash, I mean, it's buying frenzy. Everything's gonna be cheap. So what they always say, cash doesn't disappear, just changes hands. That's what happens to fortune. So I don't know, man. That's a good question. I didn't
mean to bring it all down. Like
no. Well, I mean, I don't have an answer. I mean, I could talk about that all day. I love that sort of stuff, like just hypothesizing on what's going to happen. But yeah,
it's just all for me personally, because I'm sitting here every day. I'm like, I feel like I should take it all out. It can't just keep going up. It can't
just keep going up. I know.
You would think, but it's been for almost 10 years.
The fundamentals are out the window.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I look at Tesla. Tesla blows my mind. Does it blow your mind?
Oh my God!
How is that possible? You don't make money,
and yet your stock still goes up. Like, all you got to do is land a rocket from space,
apparently, and make an ugliest truck in the world.
That thing was horrendous, dude. It looks like a Minecraft vehicle, or like the Halo, the Warthog.
The Warthog, yeah. Did you see the one when Mexicans get a hold of the Tesla truck?
No,
they put the guardrails, the wooden rails around it.
They got all the gear on top.
Oh man,
memes. All right, Lee, take a look at this camera right here. Tell people how to get a hold of you.
You can reach me. Hit me up on any of the platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or hit me up on my cell. That's the fastest way, 619-405-4531. I'm really efficient on that model. So
Perfect. Hey man, thanks for coming on the show.
Dude, so
always
stoked to be
fun
here, man.
with
This
you,
is
dude.
epic,
Always have
bro.
a good
Kidding?
time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Happy Monday. We're
Thanks,
out.
guys.
Thanks, Facebook. We love you.
That was perfect timing. My phone, I saw it bring up. It says 5%. Oh, I didn't plug it in.
Oh shit. See, that's a wrap.